Yeah.
Oh, what do you? There was an eclipse at this time last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
So
it was.
that's so cool. That was just a little something. All right, welcome to the April 7th board meeting of the school district club here. Have everybody revised? Say the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And Jim has the first.
Good evening. Our two parts are the news and updates. I actually don't have one this time. We just met and there wasn't really anything of significance to report, but we do have a celebration of success video. We just lost a little,
Gentlemen, that's fine.
refreshing.
Yeah, let's see what we do.
Oh, no internet.
Like I said, adjourns the meeting. Well, why don't you, I can bring it up at the end if you want, Sam.
Well, I will say, so I'm on AP guest for Wi-Fi. I don't know if that.
Yeah.
Alright.
So why don't you move on if you want? I'll,
Yeah, we can do.
if this comes back up, I'll just keep it up here and we'll go from there.
So this is. Alright, so, it is the first round of. what's that?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. No, it's okay. All right, so it's our first public comment period for items on the agenda. But I don't have any blue sheets. So we will have a second public comment period for items not on the agenda coming later. So if you would like to speak, we'll see Linda for a blue sheet. So I just need a motion to approve the minutes from the March 24th meeting. Who went up first? Megan first, Jess D second. Any discussion from minutes from last meeting? Okay, hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving the meeting minutes as written, that's unanimous, thank you guys. Okay, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, business, personal, and special education. Megan first, Jess D second. Discussion on the consent agenda.
I want to first thank Nancy Dunn for her very generous donation of the Dr. James R. Dunn Mineral Collection. I think we are very excited to bring that to our building. So thank you very much for that. I also wanted to thank the family of Mark Joseph Ballum for the creation of the scholarship in his name to benefit one of our students. And I wanted to thank these following people who are retiring: Alice Prognell, Alicia John, Connie McCullen, and Lorna Adi for their many, many years of service. And I also want to wish them the best in their retirement.
I did the rough math and it's like 85 years, 86 years of service between them, so it's a lot of FTP. Anybody else? Okay. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda as written. Okay, that's unanimous. Michelle, yours went. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you, guys. Okay. Action items, I need a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement by and between Maple Park Central School District and Connie Collin as grade Megan first, second Jess Z seconds, discussion. Okay, hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving an MOA with Connie Collin, all those in favor, Jess T, did you have anyone? Right, no pressure, okay, any against? Any abstentions? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you, guys. I need a motion to approve the revised 2024-25 school district calendar, so the one we're in right now. Megan first, Lauren second. Discussion on the revisions to the 2024 calendar. Jim's chatting, but just, this is a reflection of snow days or lack thereof. So if you want to.
Using up the laptops.
Blackout, yep.
Sorry.
So we will. I can keep going.
Adding half days.
I didn't have to get,
Calendar.
yeah, there,
There's two things. There's officially putting the emergency days in the calendar as give back days, just to make that official. It's already in the document, so it's not anything new necessarily, but just kind of make that official. And that's adding the half days in June for this year. A few things going on. June 13th was our last year. Algonquin is a team day. Algonquin meetings as well as some PD. Some of us we want to do with the coach ball model. And then we also know this year that we have a crunch at the elementary buildings in particular because of this capital project work that's going on. We have an extremely short summers, like the shortest possible. So we're trying to do as much as we can. We added an extra day at the end, so folks in the elementaries have a little more time to pack up, move, all the things that are going on. So in addition to the regular end of year responsibilities and duties, an extra bit of time here just because we're trying to relieve the pressure valve as much as we can because we're so tight this year with the summer construction work. Foreshadowing perhaps some issues later on, especially with weather and cooperating stuff, that, you know, the opening of school type of thing, we're very concerned about. So it's a very, very short summer.
Just one very minor thing. You have April 21st noted twice for Sunday and Monday. So April 20th is Sunday, and it's noted as the 21st, and then Monday is also the 21st. They can't both be the 21st. Super duper, like minor, but I want to make sure that Sunday the 20th is noted as Sunday the 20th, so that we don't have confusion. The calendar can only calendar.
Louise?
Oh my gosh, yes, yes, I totally missed that. That was a good catch.
Yeah, I'll have some.
Yeah, so we'll use that, yeah, approve that version.
Trying not to be petty, but I'm like.
Yeah.
Catching typos is good.
Linda, you got that one?
Yep, I got it. Days of June.
Good catch.
Day June.
I just looked at all the shapes.
We'll do that and we'll have it up before the end of the month.
Okay. Any other commentary? That's a good catch there. All right. Hearing no further commentary, all those in favor of approving these revisions for the 24-25 school calendar? Unanimous. No against or abstentions. Okay, everyone's favorite topic, policy. This is the first reading for policy 0111, sexual harassment, grievance under Title IX. This is a big discussion. A lot of this is required. A lot of it stems directly from.
And this was a policy update we received from NISBA, and it was minor changes to a minor change in the law, right, Kim, if I'm remembering that correctly?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the notes. I'm just looking at the notes from this. It was just to make sure that that everything was in line with the federal Title IX regulations, because there was kind of some flip-flopping over the summer. So it was really just the update to make sure that we're in compliance with the current regulations for Title IX.
Which we are.
So this is just a revision.
Like no substantive changes concerning how the compliance.
Well, I'm really just more stating for the record for folks at home, when we get revisions from NISBA, it's related to them doing all of the compliance checking and everything. When they give them to us, they're already vetted for legality and all of that stuff.
Mostly the changes we get from NISBA are due to updates in the law and other regulations.
Right, and it's the law as written, not necessarily discussion in the public forum, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the media and whatnot related to opinions on things, but it's, you know, as the law is written on the books.
If there's no further discussion, we can either hold it over for a second reading, or I know Adam didn't have any notes, he often sends notes, so
I'd like to make a motion to waive second reading and adopt as written.
Laura, would you like to second that? Okay. So on the table is adopting policy 0111. Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of waiving second reading and adopting policy 0111 as written, all those in favor, that's unanimous. Thank you guys. Okay, we have some resolutions.
If you want to do the video, it's okay.
Any of the video
If you want to do that.
That's
The
good.
budget.
Do it. Thank you, Matt got that up and running there.
Can't hear you, what?
Matt has his computer at a very high volume.
Showing my age. Okay. That's, you don't even want to follow that. It's just, it's so much good stuff going on. Okay. Need a motion to approve the proposed school district budget. I got that. In the amount of $69,503,900 for the 2025-2026 school year for presentation to the residents of Averill Park Central School District at the budget hearing on May 6, 2025, and for vote of the qualified residents of said school district on May 20, 2025. Motion to put that resolution on the table. First from Megan, second from Lauren. Oh, who else? Linda. Megan and Lauren are first and second on the resolution for 11A. And so this is the budget that we've been discussing at length for the last, 2 months. We can look at. It's a lot of information. It's a really, I think, a well-crafted budget given what we have. So we can do a session.
I just want to reiterate, I know we talked about it last time, but how much we appreciate the hard work that goes into the budgets, and the work that you did to make lemonade when we had a $1.6 million deficit. And I do appreciate the additions that you're putting, like the business teacher, and it just shows the dedication of all the staff. You know, I know that one sort of came from the teachers in the technology or so I just really appreciate everyone in their creative thinking, so thank you.
Do we have any further updates? I think I saw something come through that they're in like the second extension of the budget. Do we have any guidance from anyone with knowledge that we're anywhere closer to them passing the budget so that we can at least know where we're standing?
Hold on one sec. There was an update that was sent out today that just said that it was on standstill. It was from NISCUS. State budget at a standstill is what's being reported. We talked about some of the issues outside of education that are kind of part of the holdup, a little bit about foundation aid, a couple of the issues, but nothing substantial. It does say, the assembly speaker said the Democratic colleagues are prepared to support the bell-to-bell ban on student use of smartphones. The speaker said, I would say cell phones is probably just about done. And when asked if it mirrored the governor's proposal, responded, it's pretty much the same with some tweaks. So we're expecting the bell-to-bell ban, and with that, some form of funding, we'll be moving in that direction. As recently as this morning, with looking at quotes and pouches and devices, and the high school's been kind of moving towards how to prepare for that. There's gaps in technology that we're preparing for in terms of the instructional piece. So we are moving as if that's going to be part of the budget plan. Other than that, I don't think there was a ton in there that was overly informative, like more just on hold. The governor did say, Dan Clark of the Capitol Confidential blog, the governor said, quote, I'm not in any rush. I'm truly not in any rush. You won't have to wait forever, but summers are nice here too. Added, but in case you're wondering, Hopewell said school districts should not be concerned that they don't yet know how much aid they'll receive from the state this year. Their budgets are put to a vote in May. Quote, they'll have the information they need at the time they need it, Hopewell said, but did not explain what she meant by that. So, this is according to the discuss update, according to no real movement and nothing major, substantive to what we're looking at. So.
Okay.
So, I mean, I will say that, not jumping in to do their job as well as our job, but I will say that that does seem consistent with what we've heard all along is the 6.48, what is that I can't remember off the top of my head what our actual increase was this year from the changes to the formula. But the language all along has been that it's a floor, not a ceiling, correct? Like the chances of going below that are very, very slim. And so that does, it kind of sounds to me like that's what she's trying to say.
It sounds like the only real thing is a potential increase in the people who are in the whole homeless category. That seems to be the major fight, if that's the right word for the state.
I mean, I support the budget that you guys put together. I think, as usual, you got creative and did the very best with what we had. I just get concerned about the state pulling the rug out because they're just so good at that. And I trust you, but I don't trust her, so that's where I'm at. But yeah, thanks, guys.
Yes. We have talked about it a lot. I feel like lots of questions got answered. It's not ideal, but I will say appreciate, at least, since having been here, the long-term planning that this team does, sets us up for, when the cliffs sort of come for everybody else, it's not, we're doing what we can with what we have, but we're not having to get rid of 30% of our, it's not. It's scary, but it's controlled chaos. I appreciate the kind of the long-term plan to keep us away from those real cliffs. Anybody else? Okay, all talked out on the budget, which is fair, okay. All those in favor of approving this proposed budget as discussed and presented at the last? Okay, that is unanimous. There we go, okay. 11B, I need a motion to approve the diesel bus purchase proposition as per documentation to be presented to the voters at the annual meeting to be held on Tuesday, May 2025. Lauren first, is that Michelle second? Okay, discussion on the diesel bus proposition. Okay. Gotta get those, six large, yeah, six large buses, yeah. Okay, hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving the diesel bus proposition as written, that's unanimous. Okay, 11C, we have a resolution to approve the electric school bus and related charger purchase proposition to be presented to the voters at the annual meeting on Tuesday, May 20th. We can make a motion. I know that some information is we are still awaiting our fleet electrification survey, which was a report, I'm sorry, not survey. Which I believe was going to be the bulk of our kind of decision-making information, and we don't have that yet. End of May, if I'm correct?
Yeah, by the end of May.
By the end of May. So, to me, it feels like
Did you do a discussion?
we haven't done discussion.
No, there's no motion. We're actually not clear on what the procedure is.
So we, if you don't, if nobody makes a motion,
Or you could only make a motion to approve.
I mean, if nobody makes a motion,
Right now, you have a motion, your agenda states that you have a resolution to approve it. So I would imagine you want to make a motion, have a discussion.
yeah,
To decide if you're going to approve it as is, which would be a yes/no vote.
Yeah.
And if it's yes, it's done, and if it's no, then it's some other form of the wording.
Gotcha.
But right now, following the agenda, you have an item.
What if no one wants to make a
Yeah.
motion to put it on the floor?
oh, but then we can't really discuss it.
See what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
That's why I'm confused. I thought.
Yeah.
you could
I would make a
to
motion
not-
to put it on.
Or put it on the floor for, yeah, I think it has to do with the extent to which we do discussion. Discuss it.
So a motion has to, sorry, parliamentary inquiry, the motion has to be on the floor and seconded in order for us to discuss it, and then it gets called to a vote?
Yeah, but I think we can discuss it outside the motion. I mean, if the board decides we want to discuss it outside the motion, I think we can.
Right, I mean, like for me, as president, if I don't get a motion from anybody, I can,
Am I allowed to make a motion to put it forth for discussion only?
That's what I was just gonna suggest. If you're looking to have a discussion, that's probably kind of Michelle's point,
Yes,
not putting it in Jesse's point.
I just wanna make sure.
I would
that
make a
no one
motion,
questions
Linda
what
can
we
add
did.
it to the agenda, that you're making a motion to add a discussion item to discuss the electric vehicle bus proposition.
Yeah.
It sounds like what you're looking to do.
let's do that, because I'm not where I was,
Well, so I will make a motion to open to the board for discussion
on 11.
on
The electric vehicle proposition.
11C.
So I just need a second on that, so Lauren seconds, and now, so 11C, electric school bus proposition is on the table for discussion. And I'm happy to share my thoughts, but I can let everybody else share theirs as well. My dad used to joke that timing was everything. we've been in a situation where we've had to make decisions without having enough information. And it's not a great feeling. And so again, like not having the fleet electrification study, feels like, walking into a dark room looking for the light switch and not finding it. And so that's, to me, that's a point of frustration, that we don't have that sort of comprehensive, information. I also, I've been trying to educate myself as much as I can over the last 2 months. There's a lot of information, and just, conceptually, it's better for the lungs of the children, but the logistics of doing this right now, especially for a district like ours, we are working hard to hang on to staff and teachers and the bus drivers that we have. And I definitely argued here before that we can't spend money, even if something's on sale, right? It's only a deal if you can afford to buy the thing that's on sale. And so we are, it's a tough hill to climb right now, and we are working so hard to keep, program staff. There are a lot of pros. Like the bus drivers tend to like it. It's comfortable, it's quiet, it's smooth. But there are also indicators that a district like ours is sort of in that prime. They have these designations of like, oh, it's a straightforward logistical process. It's requires extra planning kind of a zone, and then there's like the challenging zone, and they sort of lay it out for dummies like me. And we definitely fall squarely in the challenging zone due to the length of our runs, the number of our buses, and the temperatures that we do have to deal with. That doesn't mean it's impossible, but there's so many more questions. Another thing that I actually did see, and like we're weighing this thing where technically it's free right now, right? It's free. The key words being right now, right? So it's not always going to be free, right? So it's free right now, but it's, again, this would be one less than potentially we need. So if the subsidies go away, right, this is kind of the dice that we're rolling is, well, what do we do if the subsidies go away? Now we gotta pay full price for it. Well, again, I've been trying to educate myself, there's webinars, there is information out there, but, a question that comes up is how much do the prices go down when the demand increases? So when there are more buses on the market, does that bring the price down? And that's one of the things that these folks in the field say, that they expect the prices to go down. So, I come back to, in a lot of ways, we're on the forefront of a lot of programmatic stuff and that, like, what you guys do in the classrooms and how you, like, the leading edge of all the reading drama that happened. I remember all that, and Matt already had our teachers doing really innovative stuff. And, you kind of like being in that position, but you don't always have to do a pilot project. And for a district like ours that does have all the challenges that they talk about, that we have those. So if you are flat, if it is warmer, if you have a smaller district, 600 kids, 400 kids, 40 square miles. My inclination is to let those folks who may have more budgetary flexibility, who may have a flatter, shorter system of routes, and then again, keep doing our homework, keep working to inform ourselves and the district in the future as things change. Right? I don't think this is going away, but I don't know that we can do that this year, which is hard to.
being newer to the conversation and research about this, it just, not to speak for anybody, but it seems like people's confidence about the issue is tenuous at best. And we're still waiting for some more information, and there's a lot of unknowns at present in terms of plans, budgets, all those sorts of things. So I think it is wise and prudent, if there is an opportunity, to postpone the community voting on this for a later date, not this date. So we have the opportunity to get more information and for some of those environmental factors going on to be settled. I personally would be in support of that, and I think that's a prudent way to say we're not taking this off of the table, but that I wouldn't feel good about rushing to putting it to a vote to the community before we have more confidence and information about it.
I would agree. I appreciate Mark's expertise and knowledge and courage to come and speak to the board and give a thorough evaluation of our district. I think that's admirable. And I also agree that our district is just not ready, and with our funding, that I don't think we should test the waters or be the ones to test the waters. So again, I think we postpone and we do not send it to the public.
So, because as you guys know, or most of you may know, I do work at NYSERDA. And so I took the list of things that Mark had spoke about, and I agree with Michelle, it was grateful that he came. But I confirmed those items with further research and then with my colleagues that work on the transportation and fleet electrification programs. And I did confirm tires do tend to get more worn out on electric buses. Electric school buses come in a size range from 22 to 90 passengers, but as Mark stated, type A buses, the small buses, are not as widely available as other sizes. They currently have a 100 to 200 mile range. And in addition, new ones are coming offline right now with a 300 mile range. And just a thing to note that in 2011, electric cars had a median range of 68 miles and a maximum range of 94 miles. And in 2022, the median range was 257 miles with a max at 520. So almost a 200 mile range increase in 11 years. And I would say we are about 6 or 7 years into this process with electric buses. And not just school buses, remember, like CDTA has a lot of electric buses, and they're in 59 states, electric buses, not necessarily school buses. They do lose battery capacity in very cold weather, 80% at 32 degrees and 60% at 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Mark mentioned that there are 118 electric school buses in New York State, but there are hundreds, if not even 1,000 more that are on order. So lots of growth, and that does not even include this current cycles of bus propositions that are going up. Those are the last ones. And so there's a lot of growth, a lot more districts are testing the waters. Currently, the OEMs or original equipment manufacturers want the dealers to work on the electric buses. However, new programs are being implemented to train mechanics on how to work on the high voltage components and drivetrains. Other types of maintenance, like changing tires, we can do without having special electric school bus trainings. And some of the other things that I learned as I was looking to confirm what Mark was saying is that the capacity for building buses is growing rapidly from a few dozen a few years ago to a few thousand a year in just a few years. And an influx in EPA money over the last 4 years has pushed the industry to keep up with demand. So we have, we worry about the mandate and the capacity, and that is growing. There are 3 main bus manufacturers, electric bus manufacturers, Bluebird, Thomas, and International. International is the company we purchased our diesel buses from, and that is located in Oklahoma. Bluebird has recently purchased a facility in Plattsburgh and plans to begin production this year, focusing on small to mid-sized buses. Bluebird's headquartered in Georgia, Thomas is in North Carolina. Electric school buses, not just buses in general, are operating in more than 38 states, including hilly states like Colorado and Montana. Hills do decrease the battery range, but we would be able to have electric school buses complete our routes, especially if they're phased in methodically. And if done properly, the cost to fuel an electric bus could be up to 45% less than fueling a diesel bus. But this is why it's important to have our study complete to provide some clarity and logic in the roadmap forward. And I understand that this bus mandate us put upon us feels very onerous. And I do think we need a longer runway than what is currently mandated to make it all happen. But the intent of the mandate is spot on, because transportation is the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in the United States. So this isn't about buses today, it's about the long game. We need to reduce our emissions for our future of our students and for the future of our planet. Cleaner air yields better health, better academic outcomes, and it protects our students' climates. So I think we should start the transition sooner than later. Maybe wait till our fleet electrification study is complete before we put out a referendum, as that should really provide us a well thought out plan to avoid those potential charging and route pitfalls. So that's where I stand in this, after doing that research, and thank Mark for bringing up those items to me. So,
Thanks, Jessica.
So Jesse, are you saying to wait? I guess I'm.
Well, our
tell me the
fleet
conclusion part.
our fleet electrification study isn't done yet.
Right.
And I talked to the NYSERD project manager, and he said this company has had a couple snags with other electrification plans they're doing too, and they're hoping to have it done by the end of May, like Carrie had stated previously in an email to the board. So I think once that's done, it'll really provide us a good roadmap, and I do think we should start sooner than later, once the study's done, putting out a referendum, so people, we really need to get this going. There is still a mandate in place.
Thank you for doing that research and sharing it.
You're welcome.
Well, and I will say, there's driveelectric.gov, and it's, there's a lot of information. There's a lot of information out there that we definitely should not be keeping to ourselves, right? So again, the long-term goal of this makes sense, and it's how do we get ourselves as absolutely informed as we can, then we can answer questions, because they're valid concerns, right? Like, one of the things that people are concerned is, well, if you're just pulling off the grid, isn't that making pollution as well? The short answer is yes, but the longer answer is not as much, by a lot. And again, that's also,
And the more we move into the future, the cleaner our electricity is gonna be.
So are you proposing to wait until the fall because we'll have the report? I guess I'm trying to understand what exactly you are.
Yeah, let's have the
Okay.
report,
And
and
so-
let's make a plan to move forward. Yeah.
And then Carrie, unless anything's changed since the last meeting, as of right now, like the whole reason we got to this after several hours of discussion 2 weeks ago is that pretty much everything will be either reimbursed or funded other than maybe $20,000.
So the cost of the charger and the buses themselves would be fully covered between a combination of the vouchers from NYSERDA, the NYSERDA vouchers, and state aid. So there'll be some little bit of financing costs because there'll be interest, and then you have the software, some design fees, things of that nature.
We had estimated that at roughly 20,000, or did I make that number up in my
I
head?
don't think it was that high.
Wasn't even that high, okay, that's fine, that's fine. So
5,000 for some.
will that still be true if we vote in the fall of this calendar year? Or do we run the risk by waiting
even 6 months to lose some of that funding.
Right now, I don't have any indication that the Nice Good Voucher program is going away, but I can't sit here and guarantee anything to you.
No,
I
that's
think-
okay,
I
I just
think
wanted to
in the
understand.
short- I think in the short term, we're fine. I think the further out we go, the more chance there is of not having, funding.
Right, no, I don't disagree, by pushing it to the fall, we'll have the study, we'll probably have what we have right now, so that I fully support doing the 6 buses, I think that was the right move, right off the, like, we just don't have enough information to not fully stock our fleet. To at some point, once we have the information, unless this report tells us something else, to turn down an essentially free bus to learn about it and use it. But I agree with you, I want the report first, so long as it sounds like here we can do that without losing the funding. Waiting a whole nother year, we may lose the funding. If we sit here and we do this next April. Yeah, okay.
And when we do it, my colleagues said they would help with the community forum to educate the community on electric buses and things like that too. So.
And I think that's one of the things that we sort of kept running up against was this, like, we really only have like a month and change left before this vote. And without, like, I know how I feel trying to make a decision without all the information, and then to turn over to the voters and say, we don't have all the information, but come on along with us anyway. Again, seems,
To be fair, we did have that recommendation for the one bus that came early on. But I'd like to see the whole plan laid out.
Yeah, I would like to see the whole plan laid out. I think it's important to recognize that conceptually, the idea of fleet electrification makes sense for the environment, and I don't disagree with that. My issue, and I'm not just trying to be obstinate, but my issue with this state, no pun intended, putting the cart before the horse on this, is that they did this with basically the expectation that the communities would bear out the data collection and experiment of putting this into place. What they should have done is do their own research and their own studies on how this would affect urban, suburban, and rural communities, because we are a very big state and it's gonna affect different people differently. What they should have done is piloted it with specific districts in those communities to see how it worked, and to be able to phase in implementation where urban districts, where it seems to be most feasible, could be phased in first and then moving forward. There was an appropriate and frankly compassionate way to treat the different communities of the state. They chose not to. They chose to make this sort of blanket declaration that we're gonna just do this. Now, I was already on the fence, even with the one bus situation being completely zero cost, because even if it's zero cost for the bus and the charging station and such, it's not zero cost to our time. It's not zero cost to our logistics. It's not zero cost to the value of Mark and his staff having to go through the challenges that could arise. And there are challenges that have been admittedly laid out for it. So it's not, while we wouldn't have to necessarily pay for the bus, there is a cost. My issue on putting this forward here is I can't support it because I don't think that the community is at a place where we're even with the state giving us better funding in the foundation aid, we're still at a 1.6 million deficit in the budget. We're still having to make very hard decisions in the budget. We're still having to transition things. It's not fair to ask the community to even put forth an effort of trust on the electric bus situation. And I can't ask the community to vote for something that I can't vote for. If this was on a ballot tomorrow, I would vote no. I want to make that perfectly clear. So, and I have my reasons for that, and you can disagree with me. We are not in an economic state that we can afford to even have a misunderstanding about who ends up paying the bill for this. So we definitely need the electrification study. We need to do more advocacy work with the state. They don't even know. When we went for advocacy, they really couldn't give us any data to show that what we were saying as the potential issues was wrong. They were looking for us to provide them the data to prove our point, as opposed to showing us that it was gonna be okay. Are you kidding me? So that's where I'm at with it.
I think we can vote.
I was gonna say, it's just once again, the data, like, there's, like I said, there's a lot of information out there, and I think that the more that we can get, getting started, yeah, one from the other,
But there's no motion to vote though.
but there's no motion to vote, we're just discussing, we're just discussing.
Unless you-
So, we don't need to vote on anything, if anybody
I
wants
think
to
you have to
say,
do something.
what's that?
Yeah, I think you have to do something to let it see. Either table it
Yes.
or remove it.
I agree with that.
Yes,
It's on the
I agree,
agenda
it's on
right
the
now.
agenda.
Yes, I agree with that.
You initiated a discussion to have a discussion item.
So we can make the vote as to whether or not we're going to approve it at this time.
At this time, yeah, and
Or
we'll
table it.
So you
make a motion to hold a vote.
I think you'd make a motion to approve the
Approve it,
resolution,
yeah.
let it see as
And
written.
then you vote.
And it sounds like you're, from the discussion, no one put words in, now it sounds like you're gonna vote it down. And we have the understanding from the discussion that we're tabling it for a future post-electrification study, and that type of thing.
I'll make the motion.
That's what
I'll make the motion to approve
I think, that makes sense.
the proposition.
A second.
So Lauren, so we could have any final discussion, and again, the only thing that I would say is that if we bump this now, like I said last time, I do like the idea of getting our own data, having one of these machines to see how it does, there's a lot of data out there. I don't wanna make another decision without the full, amount of information, I don't wanna ask the voters to do that, but I am not looking at this as a way to drag our heels. So if we do move on this, like we've addressed, there's money now, there's support now, that was the dice that we were rolling here. I don't wanna let those dice go too far down the road, but again, I want to take the time to educate ourselves and educate the district. That's my discussion with this on the table.
Yep, my last statement for discussion is just that I know we're not voting on this portion of it, but I would just propose that we table it until at least we have that study, or I forget the term of, that last piece of data at the very least, that we're waiting to make a more informed decision. I would be in favor of tabling this until we at the very least have that report.
But since you made the vote, so.
I think you can.
But we have a motion
I think you can
now,
table it if you want.
but we already have a motion, and we can remove the motion, but we have a motion on the table now, Jim.
But if she makes a motion to table it and somebody seconds that, then it's just tabled.
We can just vote as to whether or not we're gonna approve it, right at this moment.
Yep.
Call a vote.
All right, then.
I'm
All
ready
those-
to vote.
All those in favor of approving the electric bus and related treasure purchase proposition to be presented to voters at the annual meeting to be held on Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. I'm saying that for a reason. All those in favor of approving that resolution as written for May 20th? All those against? Okay, so that you,
I'm abstaining, sorry. Not
Justy is gonna abstain.
oh, okay, so we have Jess is abstaining, so Jess, Z is a yes. What's that?
Nothing, it's fine, you're good.
So the ayes are Jess, Z, is that okay?
Yeah.
The days are Sam, Meg, Michelle, Lauren, and Jess, D, abstain.
You're all abstaining or you're all saying no?
They're all saying no,
We're saying
I'm
no.
the only
She's
one abstaining.
Okay.
Four of us are saying.
Four are saying no. Yes, Mitchell, we have a quorum saying no.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
You know. it's-
Education and logistics.
And so we can put this on for anytime, I think we said the report is gonna come in at the end of May.
At the point that we receive the information, we can revisit.
Who tables that, like, is that something you just discuss in leadership prior to an upcoming meeting, or how does that work?
Yeah,
I just don't wanna lose sight of it.
We will.
No,
We'll get the report, and once we get the report, we're gonna pass it on to you guys, and then we'll decide from there whether we want to do the vote or not, or
Can have discussion again.
all the discussions.
Okay.
and make a plan, I mean, it's, again, I think that communication piece is.
You probably, in all honesty, the report's gonna be coming in at the end of May. My guess is the board's gonna wanna wait until after the election, because you may have 3 board members, 2 new board members, 1 new board member, so you might, it doesn't make sense to, I would imagine.
I bet we won't have it by our meeting in May anyway.
Right.
Because our meeting in May is in the middle of May, it's gonna come out then.
Possibly June, the last meeting of the.
Yes,
They may wanna wait until.
Yeah.
The new group is together, if that's the group that's gonna ultimately decide to put it back out in October or not, the new one,
right.
I would imagine, but that's for later on. We're not gonna have it until at least the end of May. So.
Well, and, I mean, I think that the concern is that it'll sort of fall off the radar, and I think the more attention to not letting that happen. That's, okay, I need a motion to approve that the Board of Education authorize initiation of appeal of the impartial hearing officer's decision involving IHRS case number 585-128. Megan first, Jess Z seconds, any discussion? All those in favor of approving this resolution? That is unanimous. Thanks, guys. Okay, this is public comment session number 2. It's ostensibly for items not on the agenda, but you can also talk about things that are on the agenda if you want to. And I do have one blue sheet. Jared, Parker, you can come up, you know the drill, 3 minutes, and questions can be answered over your ear. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. I know there's a question about will there be money? I'm not an expert, but nice sort of web page here says that the $300 million to fund the electric buses through the NICE voucher program are going to be accepted on a first come, first served basis. So, as a community member, I would appreciate the opportunity to voice my opinion on a free bus. So, something to keep in mind. I think the community may want to weigh in on that, but I guess you've already tabled it. So thank you for your efforts.
Thanks, Jared. Okay. Board member reports. We're missing our students tonight. They're getting ready for Mr. AP. So let's go straight to one.
Seeing as though we are kind of just here, it feels like yesterday, I don't think I have anything of note to report. So, thank you.
I have no report. I have no report. You're not getting off that easy. So I want to talk, first of all, I want to talk a little bit about education of becoming a board member and all of the things that I've learned since becoming a board member and the decisions that you make that you can't always take back and having to kind of go forward with things that you're not always 100% comfortable with. Where decisions are made because we sit up here and we have to represent an entire community, whether they voted for us or not. And we have to be cognizant that in our community, there's a lot of economic diversity. There is a lot of situational diversity. And so we have to represent all of those voices and try to do it equally. And it's really, really challenging sometimes. Because not everybody is going to agree, and we live in a climate where people don't agree on anything at all. So you're going to get hit no matter what. We're trying to do the best thing that we can for everyone affected, and the people that are most affected by this are the kids. So the decisions that we make require an outcome that we hope most benefits the children. And that's where we're going with it, or what we're trying to do anyway. I'm really just disappointed in the state. I'll continue to echo that. I feel like I've said it every single meeting for the past 5 years. And I hope that they get their act together. It would be really nice. There are no indications of such, but I really hope that they do. The end of the quarter, the end of the third quarter is already upon us. It's this week and we're entering the fourth quarter. And really just proud of our students for continuing to go forward, and they're all doing well, doing great things, and all the concerts and all of the Mr. AP coming up. That's a great time, and really looking forward to seeing, the final outcome of the school year and all of the achievements of the kids. So, thank you.
I just want to say congratulations on the 100th episode of the podcast. So that 100th episode was really good. I do listen to all of them. I don't think I missed one. But I did appreciate that the clips of the current employees that were graduates or former students of the district, and I thought that was really, really well done. Plus, we didn't hear you talk. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think it's great. I think it's a nice way to communicate the good things that go on in our district and the hard stuff that goes on in the districts when we talk, about some of the other initiatives that we've talked about over the last 100 episodes. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I don't have a lot to, except to say that, there's just a lot of information out there, and so, I appreciate the time that everyone puts in to be as well informed on all the stuff that we have to figure out and vote on as possible. I'm excited for the kids to have Mr. AP this year, but also a little slightly more under the radar, I believe tomorrow night, and I'm not 100% sure of the time, is the Jazz Coffee House. I looked at it at 6 o'clock. So I just want to give a shout out to our jazz students. It's my dad looking down from somewhere, making sure that I hit on the jazz. If you can make it out to the jazz, our jazz students are just phenomenal. I believe it's at the high school, yeah. 6 o'clock tomorrow night, Jazz Coffee House. I'll be there. Probably not with a glass of red wine, as one usually drinks to when you're listening to jazz. A cup of coffee is fun. That's all I have. I'm looking forward to it. And that's okay. I just need
Motion to adjourn, please.
Okay, I need a second. Anybody? Lauren, second that. All those in favor of adjourning? Anybody against? And abstentions? Michelle, you want to stick around?
No, I'm just going through the grants that people need to know.
Yes.
If they're really interested